How you going? Welcome back to the channel. So it's SCC and today, yeah, we're gonna be looking at some trades because yeah, things have changed. I obviously had a trade plan in the review video, but it's kind of gone out the window. I changed it. I thought I was good with where I was, and now the teams have come out and it's changed again. So if you did watch the review, I was saying how I was going to take McAuliffe over Garcia at the time. Just thought the CBA role was there. Richmond maybe seeing this as a down season. We're going to try some young blokes a bit more, but that has not happened to be. So yeah, we're having to change it up, and I think it's interesting at the moment because we've all got choices. There's plenty of choices to be had, and it's going to be interesting to see how teams shape up from here because it's going to be very important to get your structure right, and I think get the right rookies. There's not many choices at the moment. There are players falling in price, so we do need to keep an eye on a few players. I was having a look at the under 250Ks, and there are quite a few players that are falling back. So we do need to keep an eye on that. But yeah, outside of that, it is looking bleak for like your starting price rookies. So yeah, original trades last night were going to be Dawson and McAuliffe for. It was going to be for Cadman and Williams, but then I had to think about things today and, how it was going to go in the future weeks. And I was thinking, next week, if I'm wanting to make another trade up, I'm probably going to have to use a boost this week and get some cash in because I was only leaving myself with $7,000, which, isn't enough to go one down. I was probably going to be using a boost next week anyway. And there's just not the rookies necessarily next week, and now it's turning out maybe there aren't the rookies this week. Yeah, so McAuliffe has gone. He is an emergency by the looks, looking at the team. So yeah, he's still in the emergency, so he's not fully out of the team, but is a bit flattening, especially with like Shaw injured. Like looking at this team, like who they're bringing back, that's really, I guess it's Hopper is there for McAuliffe actually. Banks over Sonsi. Interesting one there. Naismith in. So this is something also to talk about. They're going for a double ruck against Gawn, bringing in Naismith, which is interesting. I'm not sure how that's going to affect the Supercoach for Gawn if you're thinking of VCing him. But previously has been pretty effective against him playing the two ruck combo. I reckon Porter did it a few times when they used to have Lysette and who's the other ruck they had? Laddams. So they used to play the two there against him, and it worked quite well. I guess Gawn's can throw his weight around a little bit more, but it does get tiring when you've got two rucks, and these are two good rucks. Like Nank and Naismith are both very good rucks. Whether we bring Naismith in is an interesting question. The problem I see is like outside this game, he probably gets dropped next week, unless Nank gets injured. Like I don't see Richmond running two ruckmans pretty frequently, unless they decide to play him forward. Looking at the lineup, he's not named in the forward line. And Lafau's actually looked quite good. He's probably one of the rookies you could nearly target. I think he looked really good in the last game before the bye. He just seemed to be attacking the air balls pretty well, getting it to ground for their small forwards, which has been, one of the ways Richmond has played previously. But whether they continue to go with that is the interesting thing. And Naismith seems to be a bit of an interesting player that they could try and bring in instead. So in saying that, why did I change my trade? So yeah, I decided that D'Ambrosio, if he gets subbed or, I don't know what Hawthorn are going to do with him. And am I going to want to play him on field? No. And then is it worth having him on the bench? Probably not also. Especially with the amount of cash on him. So it's either like hold him or just cash him out now. Two minds really. Like I just think that Ambrosio has more in him. Williams' issue now as well is like, yeah, he's a test, but what happens if Carlton decide to not play him? Play him as sub. So that's an issue. And then Sanders has come into the equation because I looked at trading Cadman and then I went, well, what's my trade down target next week? Like Sanders is looking at losing money. McCurch is looking at losing money. And then it's like, I have to hold them long term. And like at this point, Bevo, who knows what he's going to do. And the Bulldogs have a late game. And who do you switch from there? Like maybe Hustwaite or something like that. Like there's not a huge amount of options now. Another thing that's come up as well is that Reed's being rested this week, which is a pain because I thought he might play well against Gold Coast, more of another contested team. So we got a loop there. And I'm sure a lot of forward lines will have a loop, but it does leave us a bit bare in the forward line. So it's like, is it worth going Dawson now? Do I go Bolton? Who do Richmond have? Melbourne, which isn't necessarily the best for him, I guess, either. Like, if he plays midfield, it might be all right, but they've got a strong midfield. And then I think they're number one against forwards, Melbourne. So I just like to wait 1 week. And there's McRae, but they have Fremantle at Optus. So who knows how that could go as well. And I get to see the role again. And he'll only be 500k-ish if he goes up. So I'm happy to wait on that as well. Whereas Dawson gets the North game this week, and I feel like that's probably one of the ones you want to get if you're going to get on Dawson. It's like this week or never. So I'm going to go Dawson, I think. I'm thinking. But now it's like a real question of who are the rookies. I don't know if I stay on McAuliffe or not. Bloody hard one, because I don't know how he goes after this. And like it could be another trading option next week, the week after. He's not even like a sub opportunity. It looks like Banks is probably going to be the sub, I would assume. Because you'd think Richmond are going the double rock. So looking at players, well, I think it's important we look at this because we need to try and think about where our upgrade options are going forward next week. So if we put it to total points, so Howes is there. He's going to make money after that decent score. So should I have held Howes at this point? Probably. At the time when we traded him, it looked like a bit of a lost cause. But now Salem's injured. Yeah, it's really, really helped Howes. So probably one we're missing. But how many you'd hold him? 32%. So there's 30% of teams still have him. That's 1 and 3, which is kudos to them. But yeah, I don't know how this one's going to go. So the top guys are like, yeah, you're closer to 250s. I think Mead's actually on the way down. Or was it McKenty? Must be McKenty. Oh no, yeah, Mead's got a 70. Because he only scored 50 last week, but there's a 19 still in his score from the previous week. So he could come down. But he just seems to not be able to score, which is the problem. And it's not really worth it. So, yeah, going down this list, there isn't much here that's falling back yet. Dersman's still around his starting price. The problem for North is the fact that they're just not scoring. So it's not great for him. Berry, I believe he's like an ankle test. So if he plays, he could be sub, which could be good to see him lose some money. But like he just doesn't have a locked in role. Draper. So people who went Draper are probably kind of happy with last week's score because his money will get going again. Not really an on-field option, but he looks to make money because he doesn't. I mean, it doesn't look like they're going to replace him at Fremantle. So, but who knows? I don't really know much about Fremantle's backline stocks outside of what they've got at the moment. So it could be interesting. As we said, we got Lafau. So he scored like an 80 the last game, didn't he? 108. Yeah. So he had a really good score. Really low break even. So I feel like, I don't know, is it worth going him now? You know, he's going to make 40k by scoring a 51. They have Melbourne this week, and then it's like Fremantle, which is kind of hard, but it's at the G. And although we saw a guy like Waterman, like who's pretty athletic, you know, medium-sized forward, do pretty well against them last week. So you never know. But I assume he would get someone like their captain. Got his name. What's the Fremantle captain? Pierce. Yeah, Pierce. So I assume he could get something like that. I'm pretty sure it's Pierce. I don't want to look like an idiot now. Pierce, isn't it? Oh my god. Pierce. Yeah, it's Alex Pierce, yeah. So he could probably get someone like that because they don't really have any big forwards. And then like maybe like one of their more agile defenders goes on like a Dusty, but I don't know. So yeah, going back to the 250s mark. Sorry, this is a bit all over the place. Yeah, I think Lazara's too far gone, and like unless he starts to go backwards, but I'm hoping he's going to get some game time. He just looks like he's actually trying for North, which is something that seems to be irrelevant in the other players. They need to get some games into him, and you might as well. But like Lafau, I think it's interesting because he's low priced and well, he's not over 200. So yeah, you're giving up 60k, but he's going to go up like 49 this week. You'd be really happy if you got him out at 102k. He seems to be set in his role and position, especially with Lynch out. He's shown he can score, have impact. I mean, this run of 4 isn't great. Dogs after Brisbane, yeah. And then like even Essendon aren't the easiest, and Geelong, it would open up after at round 13, but then you want to get rid of him on his bye anyway, and he'd be just way out of it. So I don't know. If you were really desperate and you wanted to like, you needed it to make a move this week, you probably could. But at the same time, if not, probably a miss. Yeah, McHenry's not really going down. Swallow is going down crazy. He must be playing that sub role for them. A few players have been like designated sub this year that are just losing money really quick. And if their role changed, they'd be quite good. Like Swallow, if he say an Anderson gets an injury or a Took or something, like Swallow gets mid CBA role like at 230k, we'd probably be looking at him pretty hard as a mid forward. Especially because like his break even's going to be, his break even's 91, and he is playing that sub role for them. So if he comes on and scores like 20, he's going to lose like 40, 30k, 35k. So very interesting one there. Keep in mind. Who else have we got? Marriage has gone down 73k, scored a nice 66 last week, and West Coast are starting to score now, which is good. Tyler Young's here. He's lost 57k though. Jeb Walter's only up 10k. You'd think he'd be set in their forward line, but like the problem is these guys are like your 200k's. Like Reef McInnes, what's he going at? 33. So he was a sub last week, and I just don't see him as being set in that team for them. Yeah, Nick Hines, that other one who was playing like a designated sub role, but got a full game last week. So I don't know. I feel like we're going to have to keep an eye on these guys. And if they're starting to get full games, we're going to have to get him in. Like break even at 67. So even if he goes like an 80 this week, he's only going to go up 10 to 15. So still a watch. So Bigor, a few people went on him last week. Would I go on him this week? I mean, I'm just not sure about his job security. And he did look a bit out of it last week, playing in defence for them. Even though he did well against Geelong, like he seemed to struggle a little bit, but I guess Clarko might be trying to get games in these young guys. So you could do worse. You could take the cash, but he could be a dead rookie on your bench, which is not what we need. McKinty, yeah. So McKinty's losing money, but I think he's also got that sub roll 90 break even this week. But this is where like these guys that if they get a role change from an injury, we could be looking at them. If he goes like another 5 this week, if he goes 27, he loses 28k. Gets him to the 170 mark, but we'd probably need to see more. Or not named in, so I'm kind of happy I traded him at this point. Pink could be an interesting one if he gets a game again, but his scoring potential isn't great. Drury was one last year we got on when he went like 80. He went like 80 and something in his first couple games. Was his 23 that bad? I swear it was better than this. So he went 51. 17, yeah, and then 12, and then just got dropped and didn't play, and then got a 9 as a sub again. So yeah, it's bleak. It's very bleak. Garcia hopefully continues to get games, and St Kilda don't really have much, so be happy to have him. Castaway can get a role that isn't sub, that would be good because he's a pretty good. Maybe give it one more week and then have the role change, have someone get injured maybe, and then maybe we could get him in. If he loses another, even 3K. I mean, 150 is good. We were very happy paying that for Dempsey, and we were going to pay 180 for Houseway at the start. We just need to see him score. But he just needs to get that breakout game and get in. If Ramsden gets named, he could be interesting, but he was held out last week, so that kind of holds him down a little bit as a pick. Davey Jr.'s price is going to start to move. O'Donnell, sorry. I'm not sure about him. And then getting down here, it's like Garcia is actually one for next week, so keep a close eye on him. I like, Hamill had better scoring in 22, was it? Yeah, he averaged he could score, 60s you don't mind from a guy who's pretty cheap. I think even 21 might have been better. He had a 42, but if he got the 22, he got up to a 50. I don't know who they've got to replace him, to be honest, in the Crows team. If anything, there's probably some other players who played a little bit worse, but this is one that could just get dropped at the drop of a hat if the Crows decide to change things down the back line. So I'm not 100% sure on him either, even though he's in a good price point. Tunstall, from what I heard, I think he's but then a 21 in the first game is probably off the back of a sub game, so even that's not great. Sweet got subbed out, even though he had a 68, which is good. Gallant, I think he's as soon as Bill Thorpe comes back, he's out of the team probably. Warner would be interesting. So he's a concussion subject to test. If he gets a game, he showed he could be good on the bubble next week. Scored a 63. Seems to be able to get the ball and link up. He'd be nice. Calma was one we all had last year. Also could be nice. Especially because Carlton have a lot of injuries down there. We might go have a look at the injury list actually after this because I think it's going to be pretty important. Leaker Lear. This guy can jump. Jesus Christ. I think he jumped so high in one of those cup contests last week against Carlton. I wonder if GWS will persist with him. He is a key defender, so not the best for scoring, but he seems like a kind of new age-ish key defender where he's more athletic so he can jump a bit more and contest that way rather than big physical. And he gets around the ground and gets the ball a little bit, so possibly, but don't know with that one. Rouse Smith, leave it alone. Bolstrip got dropped. Bailey Laurie is back in. He's a watch. Although he scored pretty poorly. I think some of the people were pretty half high on him at the start of the year. He did play round 1, so he's on the bubble now. 29 break even, so we might get him for 135, 140 next week. Don't love getting him in because his job security isn't great. But we're going to have to make a decision because who else is their turn? Has he played yet? No. He must have played last year. Yeah, it looks like he got 1 or 2 games. 190k. So there's a few, so far named in the Melbourne team, there is a couple players, but it's not like there's any real guys. Probably just Garcia from the Dogs, but who knows what Devo's going to do there. I guess if Taj gets some game time, he could be 150 next week, and we look at him defender forward, so he's got actually a nice positional change. DPP that we can use, so not the worst either. But yeah, as you can see, it is pretty bleak for quality rookies. I think Hamill could become quality. This could be a game where he goes well against North, I guess, because it's probably less pressure that's going to be exhibited in the forward line, whereas I think the last 2 games he's played have been quite pressurized with Carlton and Essendon. Essendon especially was high pressure. I mean, Carlton was high pressure just because of how close the game was. So maybe if he can have an all right game, if he scores a 52, goes to 160, probably has some better job security than other rookies we're looking at. So I wouldn't mind that either. But it really doesn't help solve much for this week. So it's nearly making me just keep with what I was doing before. I think I'm still going to. Williams and Sanders are going to have to go. And then we'll get Dawson and Garcia. Then outside of that, it's very open as to what we do. If there is a good, decent rookie that presents themselves, I will be going for them. Jesus, 2-4-3-4 projected one. Well, that's off the back of. But anyway, I know that Gawn's captaincy scores like 160. Did he score that well? What's his last three? He had a 174 against them last year. That's why they're bringing in the second ruck. All right, so let's have a look then at what we're going to do going forward from here, because I think we're going to have to play quite cheap. I'm not really interested in anyone that's above 600k, although it's like quality. I think it's going to be paying up too much, and we want to just get as many rookies off the field. So, like, what do we do here? Who do we like? We like Houston, but he's pretty much on the precipice and probably going to have a big game this week. Man, getting Yo instead of McGovern would be great right now. Would have saved us 80k. Be really helpful. We were going to get him here. 80k. 85k he's made in those 2 weeks. Jesus Christ. God, that's annoying. Took. I said I liked Took because they're more consistent. I think the ranking I did last week kind of proved it. Was Rao went 120. Miller had his 90, which is just all right. And then Anderson had like 50. And that was probably the thing I flagged with Anderson is he'll have the big 155 and then he'll go 50 the next week. So it'll averages out for him. He comes back down to 105 average. I actually think Cripps is quite interesting, but probably going to be going into that 600k price range by next week. Tristan Sherry. Do I go him from Meek? His floor's been 90. But I feel like at some point Marshall and English are going to click into gear. English is hard to think about with what's going to happen, but Marshall has a real big bogey run coming up, starting with Port, who's averages like 150 against. So expect him to go well this week, but coming off at 50, it's hard to pick him with any certainty. And we got Surko, who I just don't love because of his injuries, but you got him at 480, you're probably not too unhappy. See, like Henderson 50, like that just kills you. I know it was against Sydney and they put a tag on him, but still, like, just 122, 129. Like, if this was a 90, you could probably forgive it, but a 50 is just really shows his flaw, especially coming out of the bye rounds. Defense, we don't really need anyone. That's probably the position we're not looking to fill right now. And once Stewart comes back from concussion, we can probably swoop on him at like 520. These guys are just proven what we thought with the top of the line. Like, Brayshaw's just not going to keep up with Tarong in the end. Gordon's just, I think he's a bit in no man's land as to what his position is, whether he's an attacking midfielder or, a wing, or kind of makes it hard for him to score. Whitfield's, position. Possession numbers are good, but his usage is what hurts him. Clark, as we said, I thought he would be like really good if it wasn't for like a Ryan in his team, and he's playing really well. Like I would have rather Clark at this point than Nas. Like if I could go back, I'd probably pick Clark over Nas. Okay. Well, Mackay went well again. 100. That's good for a forward, and Carlton look good. not the easiest run coming up. Geelong will be hard. He'll probably get what's his name? Collingwood's captain. I forget his name all the time. Darcy Moore. And then like Stephen May, Jake Lever's not going to be easy. So this could be a hard three game stretch for him. How much money is Marshall going to lose? 168. What are we going to see him at? Probably 540. And Meek will probably be topping out at that point. It's only going to cost us like 100k to get there, which would be very nice. Assuming he doesn't go huge this week. So yeah, I like Shea, but I think this week will show us whether he's got it in to score really well, even against hard opponents. 120 does make you feel a bit better, but he had an 82 the game before that against them, so 150 against Fremantle. God, there's like it is slim pickings down here. Like there's Stewart, who's going to be like 500, isn't he? Oh, it's only 137 break even. It's not even that bad. He was on for like 120 easy for that concussion, so you have to feel bad for the owners. Young. Oh, if LDU goes well, what do they got next? St Kilda would be all right. It's not like they've got their tagging midfield as such. Gold Coast will be hard. But then he's got Essendon's a hard matchup. Their midfielders, they're playing Caldwell and Durham as close like close following midfielders. Port is a hard game as well, and then West Coast Collingwood. I don't know. Maybe you pick him up off his bye round 12 but West Coast isn't even an easy matchup now. Sydney, Carlton, Geelong, Richmond, West Coast Bulldogs, and Hawthorn. Very slim pickings. Like, if you look at, the value here, it's not great. Unless Oliver switches. If Oliver starts to show some show some form, be very interested. It's going to be hard. He'd probably get like 130 against Richmond. And then it's like, do you get him back? But it's also Richmond who've just let midfielders go absolutely ham against them. So that's a hard one to choose as well. And then he's got Geelong and Carlton after that, who are hard matchups. What's going on here? 5. It just doesn't show round 6. Sunderland's mucking up here, surely. This is not showing, and it's pretty important we know who it is. All right, Oliver. Yeah, so he's got Richmond, Geelong, Carlton, and then he's got West Coast, St Kilda. I don't know, it doesn't feel like the best. I feel like there's not as many easy games as there was last year. It's like West Coast aren't easy, Essendon aren't easy. Crows probably Richmond for midfielders and Hawthorn. Even Hawthorn can throw a tag. North. Not as easy as last year to pick these guys, I don't think. So I guess it's like, are we looking for people who are getting positional changes? Like Baker was named in the middle. So if he's getting like a large midfield role, is he worth it? Sam Walsh is a very interesting prospect. Darcy Parish as well. Can he turn things around? He loves an Anzac Day game. What is it like? These don't really show it, but previously he's had like 40 disposals in the Anzac Day game. So, Walshy. How are we going, Sam Walsh? Now, he does look really, really good, but the back could go at any time. But it feels like this is the year where the back doesn't go. There's no other players that have previously had injuries, such as Fife and Yo, are going. So if you can take the risk, I would. It's not really a risk either, because like 13% plus 17, he's going to be 30% owned. It's not a risk at all. Could be an all right play to go against, especially with the matchups coming up. Geelong, Carlton, Melbourne, Sydney. Like, this isn't the easiest run. Even Gold Coast, Port. Like, that's a hard run. And then he plays Geelong again after the bye. I feel like getting him after his bye is nearly better, because Geelong you'll kind of have a bit more information after that game than Richmond. I mean, Geelong's midfield isn't what it was. But then he's got GWS, Dogs, North, Hawthorn, and West Coast in the end. So that's probably all right. And St Kilda. I might wait on Walsh. Will Day's supposed to be back soon. Be interesting to see what role he plays. But he's probably a bit expensive to even consider, to be honest. And then Ridley and Mills are injured. So, yeah, it's slim pickings. I think we're going to have to pay up. There's not much here. I think that Dawson's the one real one at the moment. And then like possibly, I guess you could probably jump on like a Brayshaw if he drops off a bit more. Because like this time last year we had, I think, Dawson going down. Merritt was like 540 at one point. Josh Kelly would be interesting. If you could tell me Josh Kelly wasn't going to get an injury, I'd pick him. But I've picked him the past 2 years and he's cupped injuries. It's really makes you not want to touch him, doesn't it? But I think, yeah, so Stewart, LDU, Young, I guess, but I don't really want to go near Young. Rioli short term. Sicily. Yeah, I think that's the ones. And then we got to think of what we're doing in Iraq, but that can happen later on. So yeah, at the moment we're going to stick with this. Let's have a look at the injury list. We might have a look at some CBA changes. It's going to be a long video. Sorry, but there's a lot to think about, I feel. So we got choices, rookies and choices with premiums and who to get on. I'd love to pay up, but I feel like my money isn't there and I want to get rookies off field. So Adelaide, Berry, Butts are both tests. Malira, as we know, is out for the season. So defenders wise, even Smith's up on his 2 to 3 weeks till Thilthorpe. So, and Murray's back in 4 to 6 with his knee. So, Smith as a back test is a bit interesting. Kind of makes me think Hamill might be all right, maybe. Smith will be monitored for a back issue that he was able to play through in round 6. Back issues seem to be bad, so maybe Hamill might be all right. Might go have a look at it a little bit more. Brisbane. Oh, Bailey's out for 4 to 5 weeks. What did he do? An ankle badly. Jesus. Carlton. Jesus, this is long. So Chera's back soon. Does that hurt Walsh? 1 week. You know, that's more CBAs to someone, but does that mean it just drops off the light rookies they're playing through there? Jeez, they got a long list. Weidering's a test. Williams a test. Sard's 5 weeks. McGovern's 1 to 2. Jack Martin's still got 2 to 3. Marchbank 2 to 4. Fogarty 4 to 6. So Cowan's probably got a little bit of time in him at least. Cunningham plays more forward. Not much to look at with Collingwood. Perkins 1 week. Zach Reed 2 to 3. So I got a loop for 2 to 3 weeks at least because he'll probably play. But at least that's some money. And I'll probably be ready to like off Tom Brown by then. So it's actually not that bad. Probably loop D'Ambrosio there as well. Oscar McDonald 13 to 17. So yeah, Oscar McDonald's there, key defender who's down, and he's out for 13 to 17. So Brendan Cox is 7 to 9 as well. Any other big defenders? So yeah, Draper's probably pretty safe. I mean, Geelong's just really short. Gold Coast is short. Weller's out 12 plus weeks. Surely Weller's retiring. Seems to never be on the field. Holtz is only 1 to 2. That knee looks so bad, as if he's back soon. Holtz is interesting. Toby Green is suspended still. Obviously, that didn't get overturned. What do we got here? We got a lot out for their defense. So the boys that are in there should be all right. North. Callan Dawson's still 2-3, so maybe that helps Bigua. And Will Dawson's only out is a test though, so should be all right. Goat is out for season. Trent McKenzie 3-4. Any of these? What's Richmond got? 1 or 2 for Boulder still. Season. A lot of these guys are out for a long time. It's just short. Short's only 1 or 2, and then like Dion, Prestia, and Alter in the short term, which doesn't help McAuliffe at all. Anyone back soon? Hunter Clark. It'd be interesting to see if he takes up Garcia's spot or Brett Crouch, but he's 3 weeks, same as Liam Henry. Holders of Max King would hope he's back soon. Mills is still 7 or 8, and Parker's back soon. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Heaney. And then West Coast. A lot of theirs are out for quite a long time. Barras suspended. I forgot about that. That's probably good for McGovern with some cut-off marks. Love to see that. So anyway, that's a short look at that. So yeah, there's a lot to think about. What rookie? I think this is going to be a make or break week. Making the right choice with the rookie is going to be interesting. We'll have a quick look at Will Hamill on DFS. Bitcoin. What have we got? Come on. I don't know why I went. Let's actually have a look at his sample stats. It'll be interesting to see as well. Will Hamill. So Hamill in the sample has been getting 10, 18, 21, 17, 20. Not bad disposals. Guess not a heap though. That last one as well against South isn't great. Only 10. What are we looking at? A lot of ball down the back. And he's moving up to the wing a little bit. This was a little bit more spread. Just don't see the Crows having many to come back to replace him, which is good for his job security. It's what? No, I mean, there's key backs, but there isn't really small backs. The only one is Parnell, and he's out for the season. And Smith was playing last week, so maybe I'll look at Hamill, but he's a defender, and I don't really need a defender. It kind of mucks up my... For me, it mucks up my structure because I like having the defender mid-switch. I've got a lot of players I can choose to run through there. But yeah, this is how we're going to settle for now. Unsure as to what we'll end up doing. I want to try and force another trade. But if there isn't the right rookie, then there isn't the right rookie, and we might just have to wait unless, someone interesting comes up. But I think it's going to be just definitely at this point Garcia, and I'm going to take the risk on Dawson because a lot of people are off him, so might as well just do it and see how it goes. If he has another good week, people are just going to get on him next week anyway, so might as well get that trade ahead. But otherwise, actually, let's look at Meek's opposition. Is Reeves still on here? Reeves is a test, and they haven't written anything about him, so concussion test. But I assume they won't change because they won and Meek kicked 2 goals, so hopefully that's enough. VC captain-wise, so Gawn was looking really good for the Richmond VC loop, but now if they're going to go 2 rucks against him, I'm a little bit worried, but I'm probably going to still go it because I like watching Gawn and just riding him as a VC. It's fun, especially shouting at your TV when he drops an easy mark, which he was doing a lot last year. I think Merritt's probably a good option. Essendon Collingwood in this Anzac Day game because he'll be the captain and this year, and obviously he'll want to go big, but he is playing a bit of forward line play apparently, from what is being said. I thought he just got, he had McHenry hanging off him, which hurt his scoring more than maybe going forward, but maybe I missed a bit of that. I did see him less than the CBAs at that point, so maybe he did go forward. GWS Brisbane, like it's pretty hard to go on anyone from GWS. Like Green hasn't been playing well, and Whitfield's not really an option. I think Steele or Marshall could actually be good options against Port. I don't mind that. What's Steele's Jack Steele? Break even 133. His average is 126. Like, considering this is when he was kind of injured, these are quite good scores considering. So I'd probably think about Steele as a VC. I know some people probably got hurt by him last week. You know, if Crows played North earlier, I'd love to go Dawson VC as a cheeky one. They're playing mid-round. Bont against Fremantle last year, he went like 170 on them. But it was at it was at Optus, wasn't it? Yeah, 180 on them at Optus. So I like that as an option for your captain. Who else could you captain? Real. If you've got Real, it's probably a good game to captain. I think he'll go head to head with Yo. And then Sydney. Grundy could actually be a shout because he looked a lot better last week. And he'll have Meat, who can probably run off pretty easily and outwork, I would say. But I don't love the rest. I feel like this year's been really hard to pick VCs because there aren't as many easy kills. Like, especially with Adelaide playing North, like that takes out two of the ones that midfields generally go well against. So if you got Petrarca, he's probably a midfield option. He normally shows up against Richmond and he'd probably be wanting to show a bit more after his last game. So otherwise, not much more to say tonight. I think, yeah, the main thing to take out of this is that this week is going to be a big week for picking the right rookie or rookies. And it's really where the, I think, chess game begins between the teams that pick the right premiums at the right time and the ones that pick the wrong ones. I feel like Walsh is going to be the one that I miss out on or don't go for. That's going to go really well. But it also doesn't feel good having Walsh and Hewitt. Like I tried it and I was like, ugh, I don't like having two Carlton players. I'd rather just have Hewitt, who I've had since the start and made 100k off of. So, but he's going to be an easy upgrade, or 80k off of, but he's going to be an easy upgrade at some point to one of these 600k guys. So pretty happy with that. Oh yeah, so Reed's going to be out, which means I'll be looping. Probably, I'm just going to have to loop Lazara, aren't I? Because bloody Garcia and Wilson play on the same team. So that's what we'll probably run with, unless I can loop him into the midfield, which might be an option as well. But otherwise, yeah, that's it for the team this week. We climbed this week, if you didn't watch the review, up another 5,000 spots. Structure's looking really good. Just going to be picking this, whether, you know, we downgrade this week again, and who to is going to be the big one, because if we can get that right, we should be well positioned next week to attack another upgrade. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. We went over a lot of premiums, a lot of rookies or guys priced at 250. Obviously there's not a lot of quality, but it's good to look at it and see what we can find, because we're gonna have to try and find some gems, I think. Remember to try and pick players that you think are gonna be around about top 10. That's probably the problem with this Dawson pick that I'm seeing, is, do I think he can be top 10 as a midfielder? Which he hasn't really shown. His disposal numbers have been good, but probably a risk I have to take. Remember, there's nothing wrong with going with the crowd. Like this week, Walsh seems to be the big one, and a lot have gone to Newland. Now, I would not go on Garcia this week because there's every chance Bevo does something weird. He gets either dropped, or like he could play sub and they play Sanders. You know, there's a lot of different things they could do. And yeah, hopefully you'll get it a bit more right than I do anyway. And you can come back and have a laugh next week as we do the review. So anyway, thanks for watching today, and hopefully we see you in the next one. Cheers.